First question is, why did you choose to work with Focus Funnels, decision-making process, and why did you jump on with us?
Yeah, so we've worked with a number of agencies in the past, and most of those agencies, as with I think most agencies I've had experience with in the e-com space, is sell the dream, service the nightmare. Hey, we're going to do great, and then you get in contract and you have to unwind a lot of things, or there's a lot of bodies that you start to uncover, whether it's the agency uncovering on the brand side or whether it's the brand uncovering it on the agency side. And that trust factor has to be there from the very beginning. And unfortunately, for a lot of the agencies we work with, it either was sold in wrong or the trust factor wasn't there, and it was a process of rolling the dice and let's just see what happens. We actually slow rolled the integration with Focus Funnels way more than most, and built that trust factor first. And once we were kind of solid in that, it was good to go. In hindsight, yeah, we could have pulled the trigger probably a month faster on Focus Funnels because, again, you guys do good work. It speaks for itself in terms of the integration you guys have with our business on the day to day, the individual touch points you have in each account. I mean, there's not just one individual managing 20 media accounts. You guys are very focused in your verticals. So that's, yeah, in a nutshell, why we chose you guys.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think that's incredibly important, regardless of the agency that you decide to work with, right?
Yeah.
It's building that trust because
Yeah.
there's no trust there. Like obviously we're managing your account, so you're basically paying us, you know.
Yeah,
You want
totally.
someone that's on
And
top of it, and communication is key.
yeah, and depending on the stage of the business too. Historically it was we weren't a funded company, and not that it doesn't now, but every dollar really was scrutinized in terms of what was spending because we were month to month for so long for the most part. Now you guys are managing a budget. We trust you to manage that budget. We do check-ins on that. It frees up bandwidth on our side internally so that obviously we can go concentrate on growing the business and other methods and getting you guys the assets you need so you can do your job complete. And that above all, for us was paramount. It became an extended arm for us, which was really nice.
Definitely, definitely. So the next question I have is, what have been some of the measurable impacts? So what has happened and how does that affect your business?
Yeah, for sure. So when we brought Focus on, the original goal is just to hold par. I was doing the media buying internally for what it's worth and lackluster performance, but I was managing all the channels, and for where they were at, I just didn't want to see them dip. And I wanted to free up bandwidth so I could concentrate on optimizing the site and kind of getting my mitts dirty into headless implementations and things like that. You guys in Focus Funnels did just that. You held par. There wasn't a crazy backslide. Obviously, there's learnings on both sides, and we see ebbs and flows in the business, but the business did not fluctuate from the standard ebbs and flows, I guess would be the best way to put it. We held par with the existing ebbs and flows that we were used to. There wasn't any surprises for any of the channels. The only surprises I would say is just positive surprises of things that one, we weren't testing or weren't concentrating on, plus the additional growth that you guys have put into channels like TikTok and getting us, our head out of our ass, so to speak, and moving on TikTok. I think was, one of the best things that came out of this is putting the strategy in place and get us moving in the right direction on multiple channels.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'd love to hear that, man. I just obviously you and I have built a friendship along the way, so
Yeah.
it's amazing to hear that, right? Because at the end of the day, like that's all we want, right? I mean, I've worked for a multitude of different agencies, and I see it time and time again where just agencies come in and overpromise everything, and
Yeah.
the results are never there. So yeah, it's
In
awesome.
in all honesty, if I'm going to be transparent with the testimonial, so to speak, like the holding par and all that's great, and you guys are good at your job, and there's nothing against the day to day by any stretch. I was totally good with all that. Still am good with all of that. Where the impact truly was honestly holding our ass accountable to become creative, and that I think it's immeasurable beyond dollars. Like that the accountability there was like it was structural changes to the business of like, hey guys, you guys have assets that's cool, but like you really need to turn this into high gear. And here's the examples, and here's how you do it. And you don't have to be afraid. It doesn't need to be done by a professional service, and we need 9-month runway. You guys can do it in-house. And that's one of the things that actually got me into my kitchen creating, and with my wife creating and putting some stuff in place and testing some ads, which actually had some decent results, which was really cool. But that accountability literally changed the foundation of the business once we hired internally and got our community manager in place. All of his job is structured around creating a content flywheel to get into paid now. So all of our organic is being structured around that, of just like making sure that it's there and we're grabbing it from every possible resource and repurposing it. And that overall was the biggest impact Focus Funnels had on it. And I wish I could attribute $1 to it, but it's way bigger than I think any of us are going to realize, because it literally is just changing our methodology internally, which is really rad.
Hell yeah. Love that. I come from a
Cool.
creative background too. Like, I told you, right?
Yeah.
Older for my pants. So it's just, I mean, it's kind of crazy to see things kind of come full circle, right? Like to be able to like be the creative on the background and just be able to offer that advice now to some of our clients.
Totally.
I mean, I've seen it time and time again, you know, like, I mean, for instance, I just had a client today hit 100K. And when they first came on board with us, they were making, you know, $1,600 a month, which is
that's killer.
And part of it was, you know, like the creative strategy, right? Not replicating the wheel, right? Once we found what their hero product was, just continuously hit it hard. And they had some hesitation kind of going into it, right? They were like worried about creating the same content over and over again. But at the end of the day, all we really cared about is new customer acquisition, right? That's all we care about. And yeah, man, it's just crazy. I mean, they're still working out of their house. Yeah, that's how small they are.
That's insane. That's so awesome. Hell yeah. I love hearing that. Man, that's cool.
Yeah. And then the last question is, what would you say to anybody thinking of hiring Focus Funnels, and what advice would you have for them?
Do it 100%. I mean, I've already given that advice to a couple of people. So, but what I say to people that I recommend you guys to already is literally like, something's better than nothing. Let's just start there, right? If you're working on it internally yourself, you're not paying full-time attention to it. So make sure that the proper time is given to the channel. And whether you like to hear it or not, media buying on the majors, Facebook, Instagram, Google, is more of a full-time job than it has ever been. There's plenty of optimization that can be done almost intraday, let alone daily and weekly. So having extra bodies in, for the most part, something is better than nothing. Probably look at an agency. Now, Focus Funnels is going to stand head and shoulders above anybody else I've dealt with, and I've dealt with most of the majors. In terms of, again, your attention to the account, you guys are in our Slack, you guys are talking every day, everything's good. Our communication is prime across the board. There hasn't been one time when I've been like, hey, I'm not hearing what I need to hear and it's time to knock. It's been awesome. So communication is great. And then obviously just general professionalism and how you guys do your work. You guys are one of the better agencies out there. And that's what I tell people that I recommend you to already. It's like, hey, I've dealt with 20 different agencies in the past. I've dealt with the Mute Sixes and the Tenuities and all over the world. They're not all that great. If you want the attention, if you want the boutique mentality, if you want high touch and people that actually care about your account and you're most emotionally invested in your brand the way you're invested in your own brand, Focus Funnels is probably the best bet for you.